Okay. Versatile, Vigilante, Young Vince, Uncle Vinny. We're in here, man. Very special guest, Mr. Renjie Lee.
Thank you for having me, Vinny. It's a pleasure. Thanks for being here. Shout out to everybody back home. Thanks for watching. And please do like and subscribe with Vinny for more interviews with just people from the city, from the hood. Appreciate you.
Very well said, bro. You're my promo man now. I love it.
So, yeah, it's the marketing, the natural. Yeah.
Love that, bro. You said you have a little bar you want to spit at the beginning. You want to do that right now?
Yeah, this is actually from Yasin Bey. He actually wrote this for his first single album, and I thought it was really interesting. I was listening to it. It's from 1999.
Okay.
But it's something I think is really applicable and relevant now. So it goes like this. All over the world, hearts pound with the rhythm. Fear not of men, because men must die. Mind over matter and soul before flesh. Angels hold a pen, keep a record in time, which is running and passing like a caravan trader. The world is overrun with the wealthy and the wicked, but God is sufficient in disposal of affair. Gunmen, stockholders try to merit your fear, but God is sufficient over plans they prepared. Who it be? Renjie Lee in the flesh right here on this place called Earth, holding down my square. About to do it for y'all, and y'all in the atmosphere, so just bounce. Yeah.
Amen, bro. That's a fucking energetic start to this podcast. I love it. What about that kind of phrasing hits you hard?
Well, in the time that this song was made, it was right around 1999 to 2000. The stock market wasn't doing so well.
Right.
Like, the world wasn't doing so well. It was kind of in a state of paranoia and panic. And during this period of time, like Y2K and all this stuff, people were thinking about, okay, what is the world going to look like in the next century? And I feel like right now in 2022, it's kind of in the same vibe. It's like, what's the world going to look like in the future? So me, I'm always a person who, you got to know your history, and the future is a mystery, but the present is a gift. Your presence is a gift too, so thanks for having me. I just find it's the same kind of cycle. Like right now we've got the whole stuff with Bitcoin, we got stuff with schools, there's obviously a certain disease that's going on, people are talking about. So there's so much stuff that is happening. Right now I find it's just about, trying to keep even keel and staying on a straight path. So I'm really trying to focus on, me and us. And I'm trying to encourage people to focus on themselves. So that's where this comes from for me. That's why it resonates.
I love that, man. You're definitely speaking my language, because I feel very similarly.
Okay.
Like, no matter what world issues are going on, got to take care of ourselves.
That's right.
Make sure we're doing our best. I like how you brought up kind of history repeats itself. Because the more you learn, man, the more you see, wow, nothing's really new.
Yeah.
It's happened before.
You think about the internet, okay?
Yeah.
So the internet is kind of like, before the internet, there was a spider web. The spider web was all connected and had all these nodes that were connected together. And that same spider web could be the internet. The same way, like the trees, the branches of the trees are similar to the capillaries inside your lungs. So like, I'm a big believer that everything is everything. So like, I don't know. When I was a kid, I was an idealist. I was like, I always want to save the world. I want to make the world a better place. But I realized, the world's such a big place. You can't do it all by yourself. But if you can save one person, that's something in your control. It's the equivalent of kind of saving the world, if you know what I mean.
I 100% know what you mean. It's kind of that pay it forward method too, a little bit. I love that, bro. Definitely see things in a similar way.
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing, bro. So I do want to get into the Renjie origin story a little bit.
Okay.
Talk a little bit about growing up and kind of what led you to get into what you're doing now.
Cool. So for those who don't know at home, I'm a director, producer. I also have a media company called Renergy Media House. I got some music projects coming in the side.
Cold ass stickers too, man.
You got that VVs right here.
Renergy Media House. Yeah, sticker gang. Let's go.
But let's come back to it. Like originally made in China. They were like, oh, this is a good experiment. We're gonna go ahead and ship this guy to Canada. So
you're an import.
I'm an import, yes. Import model, role model, that is.
Yes.
So, in this time, I came to Canada, originally grew up in the West End of Toronto, and that was a very interesting experience. From there, I moved to, like, Midtown, grew up, went to university, trying to really find myself in terms of, like, yes, I'm from China, I'm Chinese, I'm Asian, but at the same time, like, I don't fit in with everybody here. But then when I go into the Asian community, it's like, I don't really fit in there. So I think self-identity has always been something important, because I don't fit in anywhere, but because of that, I fit in everywhere. I got like a little diversity in terms of the versatility, and I'm also a vigilante. like and subscribe.
You're in the right place, bro. That's for sure. I love that, man. That's, I think, a relatable for a lot of young people, even if they're born in Canada. Like, it's like, where do I fit? Like, who can I be around that maybe understands me, or do I understand myself yet? You know, so I think that's a very relatable story that you have.
Thank you. What about you? Like, in like, did you grow up here, or like, what is your culture?
I did. I'm actually Italian. So that
okay.
catches a lot of people by surprise. I'm born and raised here, though.
Vinny, like Vincenzo.
Exactly.
Okay, see?
Exactly. And it's funny that you mentioned it's like you like in China, they don't really see you as maybe full Chinese, if that's fair to say. And then in Canada, like, oh, this guy's Asian before he's Canadian type thing. And I feel that I kind of go through that a little bit as well. Because a lot of people think, oh, you're brown. You're and I'm like, man, I'm Italian. But they don't see that. And then I'm Canadian. But I've never been like a Canadian, like hockey playing type stuff. Yeah. So not an immigrant at all. But I feel like kind of really relate to what you're saying with the identity. Like
both of us are kind of in the middle of that Venn diagram. You're like, I'm like Britney Spears. I'm not a girl. I'm not yet a woman. Like, it's kind of like you're kind of in somewhere where you're finding your own identity. And I feel like being in a place like Toronto is so beautiful because you have people from all different cultures. So you really have that full melting pot. We're able to assimilate, but at the same time, if we're able to know our own history, I think that's important. It's funny you mentioned Italian. I didn't know you were Italian.
Yep.
I went to Milan. One of our films is actually in the Milan Film Festival. So I did learn one thing, which is "Essa un onore essere qui." I think that means it's an honor to be here.
I love that, bro. You're getting a lot of firsts on here. First Italian phrase, first freestyle to spit. I love it,
Grazie mille.
Grazie, man. That's real, man. When you were growing up, were you someone that was like into more Western culture? Like, did you, when you got here, were you into like rap? Were you into like big movies and stuff like that? Or is it more traditional Chinese culture that you were kind of growing up on?
Yeah, I would definitely say it have to be a little bit of both. Growing up with two immigrant parents, they would be out of the house a lot.
Okay.
And as an only child, I would have a lot of time growing up in the neighborhood, spending time on the playground, spending time in Saturday school to learn Mandarin. So it's like 5 days of the week I'm growing up with all people from different cultures. And then on Saturday I have like Chinese school. You go and learn Mandarin. If you ever see like your local high school, middle school, and they have a whole bunch of Chinese people, it's because those parents all are really committed to them learning the language, reading and writing and all that stuff. My father was always saying, Mandarin is going to be a language that's going to really take over in like 2020s, so you should start now. Looking back, I think he was right.
Interesting. Do you feel like it's because China is such a big market that kind of all have to be aware of what's going on over there?
I would say so. I mean, not only just based on the population, but like the kind of industries that are coming out of China. I think it's actually a really good thing for me to know all cultures. If I could know all cultures and speak to them all, then I would be able to communicate as a human to everybody, like sincerely. And I think that, like, me and you, we're speaking English. This is a language.
Right.
I know a few different languages I'm fluent or intermediate with, but there's a certain language through like the soul of the world, and that's a universal language that we can all speak. So that's the ultimate language I want to speak, but these other languages are a medium for me to communicate what I'm trying to say.
Very good, man. When you were doing Mandarin school and learning these languages, did it come naturally to you, or is it a very like tricky process?
I'd say it was definitely a bit of a tricky process because I would spend most of my time learning English. So when I speak to Chinese people, they're like, man, first of all, they look at me, they're like, oh, he's Chinese. Until I open my mouth. 30 seconds in, they're like, yo, bro, you're not from here, are you? And I'm like, nah, I'm from Canada.
Yeah.
And then they kind of look at you in a different way. They might, ask you a few other questions. I feel like the Chinese culture, I do fit in a little bit. But the other part of it is like being able to take my Canadian roots, because I've grown up here.
Yeah.
So taking my Canadian roots and bringing that back to China, having that Chinese-Canadian connection in a way.
Love that, man. Very well said.
Thank you.
So you mentioned you were only child growing up.
Yeah.
What were the things that kind of you became first attracted to when you were by yourself? Like, what were some things that you looked at to fill your time? What were some TV shows, going out? Like, what was your lifestyle like as the only child?
Definitely. So growing up in like the projects,
Yeah.
I would say spending a lot of time outside with the kids. So
Yeah.
like when school is over, everyone goes home, they eat dinner, and then from like 6 to sunset, everybody in the hood would come out. We'd play basketball, soccer, tag, all of these games. I feel like that kind of play is really good for you to learn about other people and learn how to communicate. TV was also big because through TV is where I learned a lot of my language skills.
Right.
So watching like CBC, TVO, like Pokemon and like all of those little kind of like shows, like that is what really put me on. Saturday, I don't remember, like Saturday on Fox on 28.
Fox.
They used to have like all of those shows. I used to watch like as many of them as I could. Or like when I come back from school.
Metabots. Remember that one?
Metabots.
Crazy.
Transformers.
Yep.
They had some really good shows back
Very
then.
good shows.
Yeah. And, at this point in my life, like, I'd like to actually go and work with the CBC and try to give back and be like, yo, I grew up here. Let me go ahead and continue this legacy while also building my own legacy.
Yes. I love the idea of that, where you're giving back, but you're growing as a person and a brand as well. Kind of covering as many angles as you can.
Not only about relationships, but about business. The best is win-win.
Yes.
Where, like, you're here to give me a platform, and I appreciate that. That's a win for me because I get to talk my shit. And for you, hopefully I'll have something prepared that I can give to you and give to the people who are watching this podcast, something of value. So in the end, win-win is the best business, or no deal. Because I want you to win, I want me to win. If we can all win, then why not?
Agreed, man. That's again, you're speaking my language, bro.
Awesome.
I love to hear it. So you are a man that wears many hats. You already kind of mentioned that. Music, film, directing. You also work in the corporate world, correct?
That's correct.
How do you balance working in a corporate job with all that comes with that, with being a creative, being someone that loves to create something? How do you deal with that kind of difference in lifestyle?
Okay. It's a good question. I actually want to come back to you and what you said.
Okay.
Because you said, hey, you know what? I have a 9 to 5 and I also have this. And this was your creative outlet. And I find like you never see a bird fly with one wing. And I'm not trying to get into politics, but with politics, people are like, oh, left wing, right wing. But you never see a bird fly with one wing.
Yes.
So it's like you might have left brain to focus on the logical, but then you kind of neglect your right brain if you don't have something creative. As a kid, I was always growing up, like my parents would be like, okay, you got to go ahead and do your homework. But after the homework came all the creative stuff. So I needed to continue that. I think it's best for my mental and like obviously not just like my mental well-being, but also to keep myself stimulated on both sides.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I completely understand that, bro, because we kind of talked about it before the interview, too.
Right.
Like, the corporate world, it could be kind of dirty at times. It could be something where it's not too fun, but there's so many interesting people that you're going to deal with. There's so many lessons that can be learned. So I like to talk to someone like yourself who has the all the creative stuff going on, but also understands the importance of like business and dealing with different types of people.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I was speaking to somebody who was in one of the big Canadian film corporations.
Yep.
And they said, you would be actually surprised, Renjie, how many doctors and lawyers and business people come and transition to film. And I was really surprised. I was like, why? And they're like, because this is not just show. It's show business. You need to have show and you need to have business. So in order to have both, I got the show and I got the business side. So for me to kind of put that together, it really makes sense to take the two things I love and try to amalgamate them into one.
Absolutely, bro. You're building a monster.
That's creating a monster.
Creating a monster, man. That's really good. Really good to hear, because I again relate to that. And I think I hate the term like society, but I'll use it. In today's society, I feel like having like a stable job is kind of seen as square in a bit. I don't know if you've ever kind of seen what I'm talking about, but to me, it's like, man, there's so much that you could learn, and it could help you out financially. Why not max out whatever situation you're in?
I think it's really interesting to diversify, and I'll tell you why. Like, if you talk to people where you work, and you tell them I do a podcast, they might be like, oh, sick, you do a podcast. And then you might speak to artists here, and they might be like, oh my God, you also do something else on the side. What's that like? So I feel like having both is actually an advantage. There's also a really famous song. It says, it's hip to be square.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know
Huey
what?
Lewis.
I think that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
But anyways, if I'm square, I'm square. I don't care. I'm even on all sides. I can build like a block, whatever you want to say. I find it to be an advantage because I have a lot of friends who do work in corporate settings and they want more stuff to do. People call me being like, you got an extra role in your movie, what's going on? Can I do something to help you? Like, can we do something creative? And it's really interesting because I don't think people are supposed to be focused just on work. They also need to have work life and dream balance. We talk about work life, but life is not enough because people have dreams, people have goals and ideas that they want to flesh out. So I think having work, life, and dream balance is kind of like the best way to diversify.
Diversification is a key, man, in every aspect of life.
Yeah.
All the flavors, variety of life. It's the spice.
It's the spice of life, yeah?
Exactly, man. So we kind of dancing around the subject a little bit, but how did you kind of transition into starting what was first, actually? Making music? Was it filming first? What was your first creative venture?
Grade 7 or grade 6, I actually moved from the West End to a nicer neighborhood. Okay. Better schools. My parents really wanted that for me, and I respect them for that. From there, I got more access to media. So I was always about like cameras and stuff. Grade 7, I made my first short with one of my best friends. I actually saw it in Halifax. I haven't seen this guy for 10 years since like after high school. I met up with him, like talked on Instagram, and I went to Halifax, spent some time with him. We watched the stuff we made.
No way.
It's crazy because the stuff that we made, I see a lot of the same principles in terms of composition or ideas, and it's something I can still see in my work now. But to answer your question, I think film was first. I got a couple brothers who got me into music as well because they would do music.
Okay.
And then it just kind of like both came. But I would say music would be the third option. Film would be the second option. And just being a good human would be number 1.
Man, I love your number 1 because we forget about that. Like, we're people first. Whatever we do, like, we're people. We have to be good people, honest people.
Yeah.
Love that you brought that up, man.
Character,
okay. Principle.
You do you like video games?
I'm not a huge video game guy. I'm more of a sports guy. Yeah.
What sports do you like?
Mostly baseball, basketball. I'd say are my favorite.
Name me. Oh, okay. I know basketball more. Name me one basketball player you like.
Scotty Barnes.
Scotty Barnes.
Toronto.
Sick. Okay. So you look at character. Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is like, what, he's 20, he just won Rookie of the Year, he's got a great attitude, a lot of energy. You know what to expect from Scotty Barnes. So that's a character that you know how to depend on. Having dependable character, I think, is one of the most key attributes to just success in life and also as an artist. It's like, you wouldn't put Shaq on the three-point line and you wouldn't put Steph Curry in the post.
Yep.
So knowing your character, knowing where you fit in, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, I think is going to be like key because in all aspects of life, you are your common denominator. If something's messing up on everything in your life, you got to look at yourself and be like, okay, what am I doing wrong? So I think that character is definitely important.
Huge, man. Did you ever have that kind of experience where things might not have been going how you wanted and you had to take that deep look and say, something needs to change?
All the time. I evaluate my belief systems all the time. Anytime I get some new data, some new upware, like some software, some information, I'll go ahead and check my own belief systems because I want to make sure like I'm up to date. I'll give you one example. Organization for film.
Yep.
I have a lot of great big ideas. They usually require 5-6 figure budgets. I'll find a way to do them for cheaper. But because I'm doing them for cheaper and I'm trying to make the same thing happen, you might not get the same quality. So, being able to look at that and saying, what am I doing wrong? Is it maybe right now, instead of us doing these, 30-minute movies, let's go ahead and do a really nice 10-minute movie where everything is kind of settled. And that can be something that can be carried over to like all areas of life, just kind of being like organization, production, and the balance between ideals of like what you want and what you have. Because one day we're going to get there. Like right now we're here in this studio. When you get your studio downtown, that's another look.
Exactly.
So you might be able to do different things there you might be able to do every day, like some other podcasts. So I hope that you're able to grow on that as well.
Appreciate that, bro. And it kind of goes into what you were saying earlier with the everything is everything. Like we don't get to a location without first being somewhere before, and
humble beginnings.
Exactly, man. Got to start somewhere.
I'm going to bring it to you now. What do you think you're like looking at now? I think we're 30, 40 podcasts in. Where do you think you were? How far do you think you've come from the first podcast? I want to hear about that.
Very far, man. I mean, the first podcast I ever did, kind of the story behind that I was telling you off camera, but I knew I needed something, man. I knew I needed something creative, but also something that it was mine. Like, I call the shots. Whether it does nothing or it does something, it's mine.
Yeah.
Because in the, again, corporate world, you got to go through so many people to make one change.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So to have something where it's like, no, I'm doing this, deciding, there we go. So to look at from where it started to now, bro, I think come a long way, man. More as a person than even just my brand.
Okay.
Like just putting myself in different situations, being around different types of people. I think that's what it is, bro. Like experience, living life.
Yeah.
Really. And I'm sure you could probably say the same for your being on different film sets and being on different music shoots, even in the corporate world too. Like the more shit you do, you become stronger, I feel. You're just more well-rounded.
Absolutely. It's like what you said about being is the most important, because we could talk about film sets, we could talk about money and all this stuff. And it's all important. But first it starts with being. I am this person. And I do these things. Because I do these things, I get these results, and then I get to have different things. So in order for you to have this, you had to start somewhere else. And same with us in film. It's like, if I look back at the kind of things that we did with what kind of budget we had, it's really amazing. And, you know, makes me think about budget is not important, but it's really about the act.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's been a big theme for me probably this year. Like, a cool idea is always cool. But when you actually have something that you did, like it's you made this happen, it's such an amazing thing, because I think that starts this thing in your brain where it's like, oh, I could do anything, really.
That's right.
You know, it's like a contagious, it's like a drug kind of, but it's a great one.
Yes.
It's like, wow, I did this. You know what that means? I could do something else. I could do something else. It's a cool thing, bro. And that's why I like talking to you about this, because to me, a word I'm going to give you, and I'm going to say relentless. And I'm going to give that as a huge compliment, because to me, it shows just like willing to put yourself out there, willing to try different shit, willing to potentially fail, but with a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that, bro. So I respect that about you heavy. And it's a skill that I think a lot of people could use.
Well, you gotta look at it like, I think one of my favorite J. Cole lines, he says, with all the cards against him, how did he manage something he used into his advantage? And it's like, you love a good comeback story.
Yeah, man.
So it's like
Underdog.
you wanna go ahead and look at these, because people have humble beginnings, but they make it somewhere. Like Scotty Barnes, I'm sure he had a humble beginning as well. And when you look at like these people across the board, from wherever country, culture, religion, whatever they come from, they have some base set of things. And these kind of like rules, like people could talk about the law of attraction, they could talk about karma. Like these things, they're real, they're universal. And to be able to be one in accordance with these kind of nature or natural principles, I think that's the best way to live, like an alchemist, like a sage, like these kind of like wise people.
Yep.
And I'm trying to learn from those kind of people, because I feel like that really, when you go ahead and you learn a skill for yourself, it's not like this suit or these clothes or this car. This could go missing or stolen, but whatever you have in here, forever.
Absolutely, bro. There's a thing on that I do on my show called Cliche Gang.
Okay.
Where it just like so many different conversations, these great cliches come up, and it's because they're so valid. They're so true, man. Like, and what you were saying reminded me of that old one. You give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach him how to fish, eats forever.
Yes.
And it's so true, bro. It's history repeats itself. Love that, man.
You give a man a microphone, he might be able to spit something. You give a man a podcast, he can communicate to the world.
Facts. There we go, man. We're talking that talk right now, bro. So grade 7, you made your first film. What'd you do? Did you drop it on YouTube? Was that like the first step for you?
Honestly, it's on YouTube.
It's still there?
From grade 7, we had 300 views. But this is before, like, 2007, YouTube was much different.
Yeah, bro.
So I looked back, we were like, bro, we actually have views and subscribers. I'm like, where did these people come from? Because we were like young, prepubescent boys. It was a little bit different back then. And to just go back and watch these and see how we looked, the clothes that we wore, it's like, bro, like You can find them on YouTube right now, but as soon as this podcast comes out, I'm deleting them. We're flagging this shit. It's not going to stay on YouTube for long, bro. This is embarrassing. Humble beginnings, bro.
Good for you, man. Again, got to start somewhere. When you dropped it, and were you getting good feedback from your peers?
Everyone loved it. And that's the crazy thing, because it's like, this is one of the crazy dilemmas, and I'll talk to you about this. It's like, you have an idea, you put out something. People have great reception. They love it. They want more. Maybe you didn't plan to put out more. And you're like, oh, like, what am I going to do? I got to go ahead and make more. And that's how we actually came out with this film, Lightfest 2. We made Lightfest 1 as just a project in the distillery, as an action, like, scene. We put this out, and we're like, okay, our friends are going to watch it. We'll have a good laugh. We love martial arts movies. We're just doing it for us.
Right.
And then we got, like, I think, like, the first month we got, like, 10K views. And, like, it's not like we were advertising it so much, but, like, we put it on Instagram, put it on YouTube. We're like, check this out. We got these views, and people are messaging me. I'm like, I don't know these people. They're like, yo, cool, man. You going to do a second one? And I'm like, and there's the dilemma. Do we do a second one or not? In this case, we did do a second one. The first budget we did our film for was $150. The money went towards Ubers and pizza.
All you need.
The second budget was like 10 G's. First movie, 3 minutes. Second movie, 25 minutes. And then credits. So it's like, the growth is exponential, but it's like, you never know. When someone kind of gives you that extra push, like when you're learning to ride a bike, you'll never know how far you go. And that's the kind of cool thing, you know?
It's very cool. I love that you touched on that, because it's like, we can do as much as we can. We can push ourselves, but that extra little bit can actually help so much, man. When someone's like, hey, I like what you're doing. Oh, shit.
I'm sure you have people reaching out to you being like, yo, good work. I love this.
Yeah, man. And you know what? It actually does help. As much as I'd like to say, I don't need anybody, I don't need that. You kind of do, bro. You need a little bit of that outside push, you know?
Yes.
That's so cool. So did you catch the bug a little bit? When
bug?
When you first put out your stuff, were you like, man, I got to keep doing more of this? Did you like kind of getting that reception?
Well, we after we did the first one, we're like, okay, we got to do a second one. And then I'm like, if we're doing a second one, we're going to do a third one. Keep going now. Trilogy. So first one, YouTube. Second one, theater. Third one, maybe we'll make this into, I actually see this being something like a season.
Nice.
It would be great for us to, you know, just go ahead and start everything from scratch, get the correct funding, get the right people in place, get the right players in place, and really see where this goes. But me, I'm really open to it. If we continue, I would like to continue. I would be very happy. If we do not continue, I'm okay, because I know where I set my goalpost, and I was able to achieve that goal. Yeah.
The rest is cherries on top.
That's right. The rest is just extra dividends, and I'll take it.
Very cool, man. Yeah. Do you is Renergy who you work with for your films?
Renergy is my company. That's my team. So the way Renergy works, we're kind of like, we actually originally, we said we were like Tinder for freelancers.
Okay.
So the idea would be like, okay, I need to go ahead and get this music video done. Who do I get? It's like, okay, here's some music video directors. I'll swipe left, swipe right. Like, these are the people's work I like. And my job was to hook up people with other jobs. Because me, I have a day job. I'm working like good 40.
Yeah.
So people are calling me like, hey, I got this project. Can you come out next Monday? And I'm like, I got some presentations on Monday. I can't make it. But I want to hook out my friends. I realized people who know how to communicate, people know how to provide things that other people need, they become like a hub. They become like the axis of the wheel.
Yep.
And I want to go ahead and have every spoke of the wheel, everyone to get some money. So, for example, we have in the beginning of the year, we had 22 freelancers. Right now, it's November the 12th, and we have 17 people who got paid contracts through Renergy Media House. The idea is for everyone to build, because if I'm the only one succeeding and my friends are not, it's just no fun. I want to see all of my friends shine.
Yep.
Yeah.
If the homies can't come, it ain't no fun.
Yeah. It ain't no fun if the homies can't get none.
Real shit, man. You always been this way, like a guy that likes to bring people together?
Mm-hmm. That's actually, I didn't learn this until I was probably in my teenage years, but apparently my name, Renjie, means a person with compassion who is able to bring people together in harmony.
Very cool.
And I was like, damn, grandpa, like, yo, you on one. So my grandpa was a principal, so he must have had some good principles. But when they gave me this name, it's cool because I think I took the name and I inherited it. I don't know if it's the name came first and then the nature, or this was the nature I had and then the name. So I would like to bring people together in peace and harmony and collaboration. And that's something I want to talk to you about. It's actually in the list of things I have.
Sick.
The idea of the Mastermind Alliance. I didn't create this one. I ripped it from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
And I really believe in it. Because if you put one battery here, you might be able to power this. But if I take a whole bunch of batteries and I link them in series, I have enough voltage to power like a car. I don't know if you ever watched Breaking Bad.
Absolutely.
Okay, first season of Breaking Bad, they were making meth in the boonies, and their RV died.
Because he left the key in the
Because he left the key in the... Yeah,
Yes.
you know, okay.
Absolutely.
So basically, they're like, okay, we're screwed. We got all this meth, and what are we going to do? And they're like, okay, take all the metal you can. We're going to link these together, and then we're going to use this to charge the car. And that's the exact same principle, because none of these metal washers or AA batteries can power the car alone, but together as a force, unstoppable.
Love that reference. I'm always down for a good Breaking Bad reference.
Okay,
too,
okay.
Bro.
Let's see how many I
Love
got
that.
for you.
And that's a great skill to have, again, where it's just like, let's turn whatever we have into as much as we can. And that's amazing, man. I see that a lot, too, where it's like, oh, man, the budget's not big. I can't do anything with it. Well, there's something you can do with this.
That's right.
Just got to maybe be a little more creative or flexible.
I think about... You ever heard of something called Alchemy?
Yes.
You might have seen like Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
That's usually where people get it from.
Yeah.
But over the past few years, I've really been into the idea of alchemy. And the idea of alchemy, the chem is like a Egyptian or Arabic word, and it has to do with change. So chemistry, alchemy was there before chemistry.
Right.
And it was the study of change and transmutation. And it's like they were studying how to turn lead into gold in the Philosopher's Stone. I don't know about turning lead into gold. I never tried. But the idea of turning whatever we have into gold, like turning our hearts from lead into gold, I really believe in that. So that's really the kind of principle I want to use, like that principle of transmutation. Like I'm sure when you started, you didn't have like all this stuff, but as things started building and churning, you were able to kind of transmute this into like this whole space and everything else you got going on here. So it's a beautiful thing, you know.
It is, man, and I think very similarly, because you understand that it's a process, but capable. You can do it. Like it could become something even greater.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. Because you can't buy it. You can't buy this shit. Like what we're talking about, principles and like you mentioned, being a good person. That's not something you can buy. It's not something that happens like at the snap of the fingers. It's about the journey of doing it. You know. It's
And principles create heroes.
yes.
You think about Superman, Batman, all these people have values. Building a culture around value that's value obsessed, that's really a great way to exponentiate your business, your career, relationship, whatever the case is. So there was this saying, it's like one hero is worth 1,000 or 10,000 soldiers. So if you can find good heroes, it's more valuable than anything. So like the people that are on my team, I have people on my team I've known since I was 12. So 15, going to be 16 years. Like these people, I know, I trust with my life.
Yeah.
So like that bond is something you can't buy. And I just think it's beautiful.
It is beautiful,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It's I remember watching like the Godfather and shit like that as
Okay.
a kid, and that's where I started to see that, like those principles, man. You can't just run wild, do everything.
What was Michael's brother's name? I forget.
Sonny.
Sonny? Sonny.
Too
You never
wild,
go
bro.
against the family.
Yeah, or Fredo. That was Fredo.
That was Fredo. Oh my God.
Fredo.
Oh my
but
God.
Sonny,
Yeah.
that's an interesting group.
Yeah.
Like Sonny was an awesome like soldier, but he wasn't a good leader because he was too hot headed, and then Fredo just didn't have the mind for it. So Michael had that perfect balance of a bunch of different traits.
It's like, I would say in that film, Michael's character was like lightning in a bottle. Like between him having to take over, between him having to run his own missions, between the car explosion.
Yep.
He went through a lot of stuff, and for him to kind of keep it contained, that's character.
Exactly.
People who don't blanch under pressure like that, that's like Kawhi.
Yes.
Like you're a robot. So you know what? We
Yes.
trust you with the ball because you're not going to let your emotions like affect too many things.
Exactly.
And I would like to be more that way. I'm naturally emotional and hot-headed, but of course learning how to control yourself is what really separates the men from the boys, the professionals from the non, etc.
100% agree, bro. And I like that you said learning to do that. It's okay if we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We can continue to learn, continue to grow, continuing to improve.
Yeah.
I feel like working on a video shoot is an awesome time to like test your patience too, because there's so much shit going on.
Yeah.
And if you lose your temper at everything, you'd be losing your temper all day, I could imagine, right? So I feel like that's a great training ground to test that.
I'm going to give a shout out right now to my boy Nikita.
Okay.
This guy's not only my best friend, but he's also my cinematographer. So he's like my right-hand man. Dope. The way this works, I was writing a script, and I went outside to take a quick break. So, let's take a quick break. And I see this random stranger sitting down, and this guy's also taking a break, just hanging out.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, he's like, oh, man, who's this guy? And I'm like, no, it's cool. And the first thing I said to him, I said, yo, are you a filmmaker? And he's like, yeah, dude. And I'm like, okay, we have a project in 3 weeks. We need to get started. He's like, who are you? And that's how we first met. And I feel like that guy has been through a lot. Because back then, I was a lot more impatient. In film, we have a principle called hurry up and wait. You got to get everything ready and then wait. You could be there 3 hours early and not start for another 6 hours.
Right.
So patience, being good with people, I find these are things that we're going to, talk about. I wrote this list of 10 things, because we talked about the idea of being an artist, and I don't think I'm a successful artist. I feel like I might be on my way, but of course I'd like to share with people who are watching the podcast and also with you what I think, and you can also add to these. I wrote 10 things I think are pretty cool. I wrote them honestly like not too long ago, so I hope they're all good.
Let's hear them,
and
bro.
I'm gonna spit them to you, okay?
Please do.
First one actually comes from, I learned this from work, but also from a guy named Simon Sinek.
Okay.
He has the idea of start with why. So the idea is like, okay, what kind of phone you have?
Samsung.
Okay, why do you have Samsung?
Always have had Android.
Uh-huh.
I like the easiness of them.
Okay.
And probably my favorite thing is the texting. Like, you ever seen how Androids text?
Yeah.
It's like the webs.
Yeah.
Those would be the main reasons.
Okay, I feel you. So if I said, hey, listen, I'm going to give you a new iPhone, what is it, 15 or 14?
Something like
okay,
that.
if I give you the new iPhone 15, would you trade and switch to Apple?
Like, for free?
For free.
You're giving me? I might trade it.
Right. So the idea is, why do we go ahead and make the decisions we make? There are some things that we do in life, we do them unconsciously. When we can think about the why behind these things, we are no longer in autopilot. We're on manual, and we can actually go ahead and control and steer the ship of our destiny.
Right.
Why is what gets you out of bed in the morning. Why is also what you go to when things are hard. Why is also what you go to when you need to go ahead and take a detour. Why is what picks you up when you have failure. So always starting with why, I think, is probably the best way to build. Because from why, you can then get into what and how. It's having a motive. You remember when you were younger, you probably grew up here, people were like, yo, what's good, what's the motive?
What's the motive, man?
It's the motive. So
100%.
gotta have a motive.
Yeah, I love that's a great first step, bro. It's a reason.
What was your reason for doing this podcast, and how do you come back to that reason?
My reason for it was building something and growing as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about what I'm doing now, am I still doing that? Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'd say that's probably my why. Like, grow as a person, grow a brand.
Yeah.
As far as it can go.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Since I'm comfortable with you, I'll tell you why and how I got into film.
Please do.
Besides this one film I made,
Please do.
I had this dream. This dream was very vivid. Since I was a kid, I have this one thing. It sounds messed up, but I don't know if you believe in this, but I usually have dreams, and then somewhere down the line, maybe 2-3 weeks, months down the line, they come true. And I'm like, I see this happen before. And during the dream, I'm like, that was just a dream. It might never happen. The circumstances are way too odd. Then when it does happen, I'm like, this is some kind of pattern. At 17, I had a dream. It was myself in a bow tie suit coming up the staircase at Scotiabank Theater. I walk in, don't pay for any tickets, don't buy any concession. I walk up to the theater, and there are these two women standing on the red carpet. And they're like, are you ready, Mr. Lee? And I'm like, yes. And they open the door, and I walk into the theater, and I hear clapping. And then I wake up. First time it happened, it meant nothing. I was just like, this is a very vivid dream. It meant nothing. Maybe I was just thinking about too much, because I just did this film shoot. And by the way, I didn't even know it was the Scotiabank Arena because I had never been there at 17. I only went there like recently, and then I found out what it looked like.
Okay.
So then it happened, the same dream happened to me the next night, and I vowed to myself how much this dream shook my heart. I said, until this comes true, I will not stop, and I will continue on this path until this comes true. I originally went to school for pre-med, kinesiology, human kinetics. I was going to go and become a doctor. I have medicine in my family, so it's something that's also, plus the Asian culture, it's, all that stuff together. Plus I was smart and I could do it.
Right.
Second semester of school, I got into the film program, the communication, media, and film program. Shout outs to Tony Lau. Tony Lau. Thank you, brother. Tony Lau. LAU it. Hey. Anyways, so Tony Lau, this guy blessed me. And he was like, you can come in. I know you're not in this program. You can come in and do it. And I just fell in love with it. And they're like, you're good at it. And you can do the stuff. Putting all that stuff together, I actually ended up dropping out of medicine. And I dropped out of university as well. I came back to Toronto, told my parents, hey, I want to be a director. And during that time, it was very, very, my parents were like, okay, what kind of medications are you having up there? What kind of parties you doing on Frosh?
Yep.
So it was a kind of a weird change in my life. It was definitely a wide turn. And from there, I've just been continuing to grind wherever it may take me. I don't care about the path. I just care that I have a why and I have a goal. And I will continue until I get there. It might sound a little fucked up, I know.
No, it doesn't at all, bro. Again, speaking the same language, man, I think when you have a vision of what something can be, you just trust it so much, especially when you've seen things happen. You probably had this experience where situation went in a similar fashion as you thought it would. Then you're like, Jesus Christ. I've got to trust myself because I've seen it play out before. Yes. And again, it gets addictive when you see that because you're like, I know this could happen. I know if I do it, and you can't bend on your vision. I feel like you have to trust yourself. If you're not trusting yourself, it's throwing shit off.
You can trust yourself. I feel like you can take a detour.
Yes.
Because I'll tell you, I just came from Oakville. Bro, like, the roads here are crazy. The highway's crazy. It's raining outside at night. And I'll tell you what, I had to take a detour. I'm like, I'm going to take this other road. But I still got here. Exactly. And that's the blessing.
And you trusted yourself on a different route. If you didn't trust it, who knows what would have happened, you know?
But it's kind of like chess, because it's like, if I just stay there, I'm not going anywhere.
Yep.
I have to make the next move, even if it's right or wrong. Otherwise, the game or dance does not go on. I could make a misstep. I could misclick. I could make the wrong move. But for me to stay and be paralyzed by fear and anxiety, I'm not doing myself any service, you know?
Absolutely. More is lost by indecision than wrong decision.
Better to have a bad plan than no plan.
Absolutely, man. I love that.
Yeah.
Cliche Gang, man.
Cliche Gang.
Here.
Gang.
That's an excellent first step, bro. What's the second step you got on there?
The second step is actually character, which we talked about.
Okay.
Man, as somebody who owns a media company, as somebody who makes films, I feel like character is the most important. People will choose people not based on just experience, but based on who you are. Here's the thing. I really believe this. You can teach somebody hard skills. You can teach somebody soft skills. I can teach you how to edit. You're already doing a lot of editing. So like, I could teach you how to edit. I could teach you how to do VFX. I could teach you some of these things. I could teach you to be a better communicator, how to sell. I could teach you how to make budgets and all this stuff. But if you are not a good person, for me, that's like the most important. I can forgive mistakes. I can forgive anything, but I cannot tolerate people who are not righteous or don't treat other people with compassion, people who don't work in the same kind of positive attitude. These things to me are more important. I can train you to be a filmmaker. I can't train you to be a good person. You have other people for that. You got a circle around you of other people. They raised you and they brought you up so that you can come and do this. Like this chair, if this leg is broken, I might be able to count on 3 legs. If 2 legs are broken, we have no table. All this stuff is on the ground.
Yeah.
So character is the one thing you can count on in bad times, times of peril and despair, and also in good times.
Agreed, bro. It's your foundation. Strong foundation, you'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I curse on the show?
Please do, bro.
Okay, listen. People can... I feel like I came up with this last week, but check it out. You can tell me what your thoughts are. People can fuck up, or I feel like I can accept one or the other. And the thing is, with character, no one is perfect. I'm not expecting you to be like a prophet. Yeah. But people can fuck up, Or people can lie. I can tolerate if you fuck up, but if you're honest about it. I can tolerate if you do a good job, but you lie. I cannot tolerate if you fuck up and lie. That's unacceptable. That's how you cut people. What are your thoughts?
I love it. I love that, man. Because there's a time and place for both. Sometimes you do have to fuck up. Sometimes a lie might be the way you gotta go. But I completely agree. If you're lying about your mistake, that's like a scumbag move, you know? And it's like, that's character.
That's character.
Being a scumbag is a character. It's not good character.
And I've had experiences before on film sets where I have somebody who does a technician, a job I can't do. I'm directing someone else's. They have to do their job.
Right.
They're nasty to everybody else. I get complaints. I want to scrap, but honestly, I got to go ahead and make sure we keep cool and try to do everything amicably. So when this happens, you do your job, great. But you're a bad person, I can forgive it. You treat people nicely, but you mess up at your job, take a couple minutes during lunch, I can teach you.
Yes.
You can't do your job and you're a bad person, get out of here. We don't need those people in our circle. That's what I believe.
100% agree, bro. Get rid of the dead wood.
That's right. That's right.
No good for anybody.
Got to shed that dead weight.
Absolutely. Actually, quick question to interrupt your list.
Yeah.
You ever had that experience on a set where you're describing someone who's just not cutting it and a dickhead, and you got rid of them and you saw a change in the whole vibe of the set? Has that ever happened?
You ever been, you went to school.
Yeah.
You ever got like a whole bunch of really good grades, and then you got this one bad midterm, and it just drops your average down? If you take that one thing out of the equation, now you're on the honor roll. And I really find that having people you can count on, I don't care if you're Ben Simmons and you can't make a layup. If I can count on you being Ben Simmons all the time,
exactly,
just be Ben Simmons.
Yeah, what am I getting here?
What am I getting here?
Exactly.
Like, if you're Ben Simmons and then tomorrow you're just like some guy from the G League.
Exactly.
Or I'm not going to say anything about Ben Simmons, but if today you're playing like Jeremy Lin. I love Jeremy Lin.
Legend.
I love Jeremy Lin.
Linsanity.
Asian guy, great. Killed the Raptors that one time he came.
Yes, sir.
He had one really great season. People remember him for that. But then afterwards, there's some inconsistencies, being traded, not being on the right teams. That led to him going to play elsewhere, then coming back to the G League. Yeah. I don't know what he's doing now. Jeremy Lin, if you're watching this, I wish you best of luck. No, nothing bad trying to be said, but inconsistencies.
Yes.
When you have these inconsistencies as people, I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know if I should pay $2 million for you or $20 million, $200 million.
Yes.
So, I mean, who's a consistent guy? Gary Trent Jr. You know what you can expect. 3 and D and some steals. You can do this for me. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. I'd rather take you than somebody who's up and down 30 points, 0 points like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
As a coach.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great example because you might have, I've dealt with it, I'm sure you have, people in your life who are too inconsistent, and it's like, man, I can't do it anymore. Like, I need to know what I'm getting, you know?
And the people who, those people are there, you give them your trust like that, and they break your heart. It's like a vase. You can fix a vase. It still might be able to hold water, but how many times, how many pieces can this be broken?
Exactly.
Until you're like, listen, I just got to go to IKEA and get a new vase.
Big facts. I 100% agree, bro. That's life lesson, man.
It's character.
Character. Exactly.
Be good people. Anything, just be good people. That's number one.
Real shit. I like how you said, like, you could figure the other stuff out, man. I could help you out. We could get advice on this. You'll figure that out. But that is the key.
One person, like people talk about, they usually talk about high value these days. It's a term that's thrown around a lot. One person with good character, somebody responsible, shows up on time, positive attitude, deals with people well. You know, like volume, like length times width times height.
Yeah.
Quality of work, quantity of work, and the attitude in which you do it in. You got all three, you're going to be somebody who is going to be great. Thanks for that illustration. Yes. You have a good attitude. You have one good hard skill. I know how to sell. I have my real estate license. I can do options and trade stocks. I can talk to people well. You have one good hard skill. I can do editing. I can direct. I can make storyboards. One hard skill, one soft skill, and a great character. I find that person, if they're not going to be high value now, they will be a high value person in the making.
Agreed. Because you can't. That exactly. You can't teach that one thing. The other stuff you can. You got to have it.
Yeah, and I think we're old enough to know the real from the fake.
Yes.
Because you can only fake it for so long.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
Exactly. Again, that foundation term. You can't fake a foundation.
Can't fake a foundation, no.
It's either there or it's not.
Yes. And that
Real
comes
shit.
to my third point.
There we go.
I got you.
I'm seeing the future, bro. I'm seeing the future.
So the third point is the idea of the Mastermind Alliance. This is from Think and Grow Rich. The Mastermind Alliance is that idea of, connecting all those batteries together, being able to have good people on your team who are all going in the same direction. This is the best way for us to move forward. It's like, if I'm doing one job, I might be able to do one person's job. If two people are working together in accordance with the Mastermind Alliance, they might be able to complete 4 people's job if they were all working individually.
Right.
3 people might be able to do 9 people's job. So the idea is, as we go ahead and are able to come together, we're able to actually exponentiate our productivity and our growth. So having people who are like-minded, like-hearted, want the same thing, want everyone to succeed together, these are people I want on my team. And I actually want to put a plug out. If you're watching this and you feel like my values and your values could be the same and you work in some kind of industry, please do contact me. I'm looking for more people to add to my alliance because you know what? Any great army always needs to have good, capable generals. Bad generals will lead to defeat.
Absolutely, bro.
And soldiers can become generals. Like, I don't want to say there's a whole hierarchy of things, but in a way, we all work our way up. And it's like, if you ever play video games, you have somebody who's level 100 carrying somebody who's level 5. There's a certain experience share.
Absolutely.
Because you've come with me instead of you grinding on this level, because you're the lowest tier on another level, it's like, I could be the best of the Bs, or I could be the worst of the As. But me being on that next level, I'm going to want to be that A+. Exactly. So it really changes your mindset. So Mastermind Alliance, great way to build. And if you want to learn more on this, Think and Grow Rich, because I didn't even read the book for the past couple of years, but it's all in fear,
Very well said, bro. We've been on a Raptor theme tonight, but I feel like a good Raptor example is Nick Nurse. He was someone that coached all over the place. He was an assistant for many years. Finally got that big seat, and he knew what to do with it. He'd been working his way up. And I love that, bro. Like-minded people. Hit Renjie if you want to be on the team, bro.
But also, look at the Raptors since the new generation after Lowry and DeRozan.
Yeah.
Pascal, OG, Fred VanVleet.
Yep.
I think I'm missing somebody.
Like Chris Boucher, kind of.
Boucher? Okay, sure. So we'll say these people have been here since the Raptors have lost all of those many years with LeBron, you remember all that stuff? After all of that, they're the new generation. And eventually, if you look at the Warriors, they're talking about Steph and Draymond and Clay. Yeah. These guys are going to go ahead and eventually get a little bit older, and then there'll be the new generation like Wiseman, Jordan Poole, all these guys coming together. That's going to be the new generation.
Very true.
And the truth is that people look at intensity or amplitude, and then they look at longevity. It's like, would you rather be a star that shines really bright for just 1 second and explodes like a supernova, or would you rather be a normal star in Orion's belt that shines for a longer time? It's like, and there's no right or wrong, but some people might like one. I think striving for longevity is important. You want to have people you can trust 10, 20, 30 years down the line. And I think that's important.
100% agree, bro. I just had this awesome artist. She actually painted this, Erin Martin.
That's beautiful.
Sends you her amazing music, and she has a great following, but she's not a massive social media. Her social media is not massive. It's very good, very strong, but it's not viral like some other people are. And I was saying to her, I'm like, yo, someone who goes viral off one TikTok, that's cool, but they don't have the catalog. They don't have that consistency. That viral moment will eventually go. And I think that's something I hope kids learn, that, don't chase the viral moment. If it happens, awesome. Build.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you have it. When the time comes, you already have that work that you've done. You built that consistency. So now you could be a star and stick around.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
You remember there was that song that it was like, now you're just somebody that I used
Amazing
to know.
Song.
Now that's somebody we used to know. Because this guy, I don't think he's made another song since... Yeah, that guy.
That was a huge hit, and
Great
you're
song,
right, bro.
Great music video. What happened?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
But shout out to that guy too.
Shout out to that guy, man. And you know what? It's one of those things too where it's like those guys probably don't choose it. But we got to use it as lessons where it's like we don't need to just go try to look for a huge hit or whatever field you're in. Keep building and it'll come naturally.
Yeah. I recently got to stay in a place called Woodfield Nature Retreat. Okay. It's like a 300-acre kind of place for people to connect with nature. Really cold. We went in and there was a wood stove. I took my dad up there, chill, just relax. He grew up with wood stoves back in China, so it was good for him. And I used to just put in wood, and just every 30 minutes, just keep the fire burning. Right. It doesn't have to be super hot. You don't have to burn down the house, but to keep it going for the whole night, that's how we're going to keep you warm. Because otherwise, it could be really hot for the first 3 hours. You're going to be freezing for the next 3. So kind of that pacing yourself and continuing to have strides, important.
Hugely.
Number 4. Okay. Oh, this is a big one. Research. I know a lot of people who don't actually do the research and the practice. I got a couple friends I play soccer with. I haven't played soccer for like 10 years because I broke my leg. Okay. But for the past year, I've been playing soccer like fairly regularly. With this, I have people I look at and I'm like, these guys are so great. If they actually took it seriously and practiced and did their research, instead of, oh, I can do this kick up or I can do this kind of cool trick, they really practiced. I think they could make it professionally. There's a saying, I think, by Oscar Wilde, the youth is wasted on the young. And we're still young, so I'm not trying to waste whatever I got left of this youth. But the idea is, if these people put in their research of what it takes to be there, they can actually do it. I just don't want to see me or any of my friends grow up 10, 20 years down the line and look back and be like, I had a great chance and I ruined it, and I'm going to regret this for the rest of my life. Because pain is temporary. And at the end of pain, there is reward. And you might suffer through pain. It's going to sound morbid, but we're all going to die. So if we're going to have, if anything, I want to have a legacy that I can leave behind. And that's how these people are going to remember me. You know, like that's how I want to leave something good for the people. Positive education. So to come back to the idea of research, some people, they work hard. They're very smart. They grind. But instead of me cutting this piece of bread over and over again, I'm going to go ahead and invent the bread machine, Wonder Bread, the original bread cutter. When we can go ahead and streamline our processes or learn quicker, it might take you a year to develop this. But by you going ahead and taking this year, you've now gone 5 years ahead from where you were supposed to be. So for artists who are broke, just starting in their parents' place, whatever, take time to learn, experiment. Don't just go and look for money. My mom used to always tell me, you need a horse to catch a horse. The idea is you want to have something consistent for yourself. It could be like a day job. It could be something you're doing that you like. Maybe you have something you want to transition to, but you want to maintain this in order to get to this. Education, research, being able to actually build. I find if people take time and do deep work, they'll be able to get much further ahead than somebody who just learns on the go every time they need it.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree, man. And you know what? It's something that I've been thinking about a lot, too, in terms of, like, Versatile Vigilante. Like, where can I improve? I like how you said streamlining. Like, these are things that over time you have to have those conversations with yourself for that reason. Like, how do we get better? Can't just be everything blind.
Absolutely.
Got to keep going and improving.
I actually find you're really great at asking questions and keeping the conversation stimulating. So in terms of the soft skill, I think it's great. You've got some equipment. You've got a studio. We can definitely get you a new camera. After this, I'm going to hook you up. I'm going to show you the best things. I got you, bro. But the idea is research is going to help you elevate whatever you're at here.
Exactly.
Next one?
Yes, please.
Making a plan. What song was it? I think it was Shaheem. There was a song called Man-Child. And the song, this guy says, you must make a plan because he who fails the plan plans to fail. And I was like, that's pretty deep. And I think the idea behind this is you want to go ahead and make a plan that's smart. You know, they talk about SMART action plan, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-oriented.
Yeah.
Make a good plan. Because if someone's like, yo, I'm going to go ahead and get 100,000 subscribers by tomorrow. I love the attitude. I love that you're hungry for it. How realistic is that?
Exactly.
So people making good plans is probably the most important thing. And you want to usually start like chess. I play chess. You can say, okay, right here, this move is checkmate. But I'm like 3, 4, 5 moves behind. So how do I get from where I am now to this move? Look at what you want and start to work backwards. stick to that plan, and also don't be afraid to go ahead and like be flexible with the plan.
Yeah.
I know I'm supposed to come here in Saga. I went North York, Scarborough, Richmond Hill, Oakville, then here today. So for me, my plan was always to be here, but I didn't know I had to make all these kind of different detours to run all these errands.
Yep.
So planning is definitely something important, and I find people aren't doing enough of it.
I agree. I like that you brought up that example of, I want a million subscribers by next week or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that people do that as a way of like, it's almost self-sabotage, where it's like they know that deep down they can do it, but I'm going to give myself such a ridiculous goal that I know I won't hit, so then I could say I gave it a shot, but I didn't get to do what I want to do, so fuck it.
But how do you think that would make people feel?
I don't know, because I know people that do that, and I don't really understand. I don't understand it because my brain's just never worked that way. But I think what it is like a fear of actually doing well at something.
Okay.
I don't know. I could be talking shit. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I know exactly what you mean.
Because I think it's just like, I had a buddy that said this, bro. Like, he was like, yeah, my goal is 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, but he had never put out one video or anything. Like, he never done anything. And I'm like, but why? Like, where does that come from? Going back to step one, well, how is that your why? Like,
yeah.
Why? You know what I'm saying? And I think it's because it's like, I'm going to shoot, like, super high, but not actually even really try to do it, and then I could just say I put like half-ass effort in, and then
I think some people want dreams just so they can say they have dreams.
That's what it is, man.
And some people want dreams, but they will never pursue them because in their mind they're already happy with, this is my dream, even if they never achieve it in their lives. I'm not that guy. I'm like, if I have a dream, I must do everything in my power to see it happen, to realize it, to actualize it. But I mean, those people, you got to still respect them for having the dream. But you know, there are some people who are super serious about it. And you can tell the people who are not really serious about it.
Exactly. And I think when they do that, it shows me like, I don't think you're that serious because you're not understanding that you have to do the work. You know what I'm saying?
Respect and love to both kind of people.
Yeah.
As people.
Yes.
But as people who are trying to be dreamers, I'm telling you, it's not the right way.
Yes.
J. Cole had this one line. It says, "Good thing is, man, we came a long way. The bad thing, man, is we went the wrong way." So, like, you know, being able to actually make a plan and going in that right direction, I think is important.
Bro, you're like my translator.
How so?
I'm trying to make these points and you fucking clean them up so nicely. I love that, man. Because sometimes I'm talking, I'm like, I have no idea if I'm making any sense right now. So it's nice to know that you at least know what I'm fucking trying to say and can put it out there in a different way as well. So much appreciated.
That's you know, because the plan is like this, but we know this is the main point.
Exactly.
So I got that here.
Exactly.
Okay, number 6. Okay, we're making good. We're doing good. Number 6, embracing failure. Woo. Okay. As somebody with big, lofty ambitions, fail very often.
Big time.
At first, failure was bad. Thinking about all the pressure, everything about leaving work, leaving all these other things behind, dropping out of school for medicine and trying to do all these things. One small failure could ruin my day. Now, I love failure. Failure is good. I think failure is even more critical than success. And I'll tell you why. We have a thing in our minds called loss aversion. And it goes back to, if you believe in caveman, let's go back to the times of caveman. We're in a tribe. We got like 10 people. We go ahead and we succeed. We hunt a deer. Everyone's a little bit happy. We have one of our boys. Let's say I get eaten by a lion. You guys are all freaking out because you're like, oh my God, this thing happened with this lion. Now we know in the future, if we see this lion and it comes to hunt us, we have to run. So because of this, we're naturally programmed to focus more on the negative. This isn't that time anymore. Failures now are not fatal. They're not going to really kill you. You might go bankrupt, things might happen, relationships, whatever, but things are not going to kill you in that same way. So we have to reprogram our minds for the modern day society and to say, failures are okay. I am not my failures. I'm also not my successes. This is what I do, but this is who I am. So I guess what I'm trying to say is by embracing failure, we're able to go further. We're able to actually self-reflect and discover what we need to succeed. And we also are able to take a mustard seed of learning from this, plant that new seed, and have that grow into new fruit in the next season.
100% agree with you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
No.
Talk to me about some of your failures.
Man, you know what? I've, again, over the past few years, grown on this a lot. I've realized that the failures that we're talking about, we can say that they're failures. What I've started to like to call them is experience, man. Now I've done it. I've always been this way, even as a kid. I don't know why. The first time I do anything, it's usually very messy. Like, whatever the fucking topic is, it's probably not going to be very good every time. But I always have also understood that I learned something here, and the second time is going to be much better. And continue. If I like to do it, I'll continue to do it and get better at it. So I like to use the failure as experience now. It's like, yo, yeah, that was maybe not great, but now I know what to expect a little bit better. And I think that's something that we forget sometimes. Like, yo, it's your first time doing it, or you're new to it. How are you going to put such strict pressure on yourself? It's a new endeavor.
Absolutely.
You're new to it. You got to understand that you're going to scrape your knees, man. And I tell that to kids that I work with in my 9-to-5 that are new to the job. I've done the job a little bit. I'm like, yo, don't beat yourself up if it's not going well, because now you're learning. Just keep your eyes open and understand what you're doing, why maybe you made that mistake, failure. It's valuable, man.
Absolutely.
I think gives you thicker skin, because now I'm sure you could do on your film sets, like an issue that you probably had when you were starting out. If you have that same issue now, you probably have dealt with it so many times that you don't even worry about it. But at the time, it was new. It was very stressful, you know? Failure is, man, it's the best teacher in the world.
Two things that come up to mind. Number one is a Pro Era song. It says, before you fly, you got to run. Before you run, you got to walk. Before you walk, you got to crawl. Before you crawl, you got to be born.
Yep.
So there is a progression to success. The other thing that comes up to mind is the idea of what you said about levels of difficulty and who you are. So to come back to that idea, it's like with martial arts, let's say you go ahead and train. You start to train, you might be able to deal with a level 3 threat. You are level 3, this is a level 3 threat. So you're that level of anxious. When you get to level 6, a level 3 threat is easy. So the higher, more failures you have, and the best way to learn martial arts is failure, practicing, trying again. The more you're able to fail, the higher your level is. These things don't even bother you.
Exactly.
And I look back at my friends, and I see some of my friends deal with the same kind of issues. And I'm like, yo, like, I see where you are now. Just know that this is not forever. People also look at me and say, listen, I know where you are. Where you are is not here forever. So I think as long as we have tomorrow, failure is not fatal. And if there is no tomorrow and failure is fatal, at least I tried to get rich or die trying.
Real shit, man. Till the wheels fall off.
Till the wheels fall off, yeah.
100% agree. It's this shit can get messy out here, man. I've shared this quote on this podcast before. I'm gonna share it with you. A very smart man. I did a course on mediation. And
maybe that's why you're such a good communicator.
That was one of the reasons. I'm like, this can't hurt. Let me try this. Like, it can't hurt. And he was a super cool guy, and he said this line that always stuck with me because it's very relatable for me. Don't let perfect get in the way of good enough.
Wow.
And that hit me, man, because I remember as a kid, like, in school, I don't know if this was how it was for you, but I feel like it was promoted, like, try to get the best mark you can possibly get, like, as close to perfect as you could possibly get. And even as a kid, I just never agreed with that. Like, perfect, what does that even mean? So to hear this guy who's built a really good career for himself and great character guy, he's saying, don't let perfect get in the way of good enough. I love that, because to me it showed steps. You did this. Excellent. Now there's something else you can go do. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to chasing that perfection, might never get perfect. Then what are you going to do?
And chasing perfection is hard too, because when you don't get perfect, you feel like I'm not perfect.
Exactly.
And that's a thing. And for me, growing up as a kid, my parents were always like, study hard, get good grades, be a doctor. I had an older friend. This friend, he could play piano at a level 10 grade. He had great grades. He was older than me. He was a different person. My parents used to always be like, okay, you got an 80, but this guy got 100. Why can't you get 100? And it would break my self-esteem and confidence down. And I know it to the point where I can call myself out on it. The thing is, I look back at those times, I realize I was wrong. Because while this was happening, I look at this person now, because we're still friends. And now this person is in a different place where they're having other issues. Where I was focusing on having fun and growing like that, this person is having issues with maybe social lives or relationships.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think it's better to be well-rounded than just to be perfect in this one sense. There are some people who are savants. There's some people who are amazing at one thing, and that's great. And you can get a lot of fame and recognition, be great at one thing. But I think to be a well-rounded person is, you're like a rock that never falls through the cracks.
100%, bro. My whole shit is based on that versatility.
Versatility.
It's a huge thing, man.
Yeah.
For that same reason. And again, even as a kid, I kind of knew that. Like, yo, if I can work with different types of people, have different... Like, I love in the lunchroom that I could go chill with, like, the smokers.
Yeah.
But I could also chill with, like, the athletes. But I could also chill with, like, the geeky
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
Like, the chill with the girls. Like, as opposed to just always being in one crew. Like, I was never attractive to me, you know? And I think now we're learning that.
I think as kids we would have gotten along in that way.
I think so too, bro.
I think
Know
we definitely have that.
my dad used to say that too. Like, know a little bit about a lot of shit.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
As
And
opposed
I
to
know enough to know I don't know enough.
Exactly.
And that's why when I have like people, and those people who are subject matter experts are the best.
Yes.
Because you go to them, you're like, tell me everything.
Exactly.
Like, I'm gonna come and hook you up with the camera. I'm gonna show you everything you need.
Yes.
So
I'm
it's
gonna
like,
lean on you for this because you know much more about it.
Yes.
But we know enough to go to them.
And being able to find these people and have good relations with them. Good relations. Back to the Mastermind Alliance. Okay, next one.
Huge.
Calculated risks. Oh
good
boy.
one.
Okay, so to come back to embracing failure and taking calculated risk, I'll tell you this one. In 2019, I was dating a girl who was very close to me.
Okay.
I was thinking about the idea of even marrying her. So check this out. I actually had $10,000 saved aside to buy a ring for her. We didn't end up being together. And that money, I embraced that failure. And I took that money and I made this film Light Fest 2. So by going ahead and embracing that failure, I took a calculated risk by making this film with my team. And as a result, we have this premiering in theaters. So to me, I think that's like how we can work this alchemy, transmute a bad situation, transmute a negative into a positive. Get the picture?
Absolutely, man. And risk is a great term too, because you do always have to put yourself at a risk. Like, you never know. You can be an expert at the subject, but you still can't for sure say it's going to work out perfectly.
Absolutely.
Impossible. So you're always putting yourself at risk. So I love that understanding of, I'm still at risk here, but let's be smart about it. Let's understand what are the potentials here. What are we giving up potentially? That's how, again, we go back to consistency and longevity. Calculated risk, man. Without that, you can't stick around.
But calculated risk is like the best adventure too. Because check this out. You take a risk when you cross and you jaywalk. You take a risk when you're crossing at the sidewalk when the light is green. Like, all these are real risks.
Yes.
We are taking calculated risk. When you go ahead and you jump off the cliff into the water, that's a calculated risk. Even when you love, it's a calculated risk. You're saying, listen, I love you enough to trust you to catch me when I fall. It's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Like, there is a lot of... Because without risk, you can't have reward. If I have take no risks at all, I'm probably taking the biggest risk. Wow. Okay.
Very true.
Okay.
Very true. You gotta go out. You gotta go out and put yourself out there in whatever you're doing.
And I don't mind going out on my shield. Like, if I go and I have a... whatever the case is, and I take calculated risks and I fail, I'll just go ahead, embrace the failure, get better, and then take another calculated risk. It's a positive feedback loop.
It's a cycle. I love that where you can go back in the tips.
Yeah,
I love that.
Thanks, bro. It's all the same, you know. It's all that Renergy.
Exactly. This, and you know what? For anyone watching too, like, these 10 things, it doesn't have to be in order. You might not need all 10 at every situation, you know, but most situations, if you break it down to its most simple, it could come back to a lot of these points. So I love that.
If people can take one thing from this and say, this is one thing I'm actually cool with learning, that's good with me.
Massive.
If you're watching this, please comment below which of these stand out to you and why. Vinny would love to hear about it, and I would just love to see if we've been able to make an impact and if this resonates with you, or we're just here in our echo chamber and we're all just crazy, you know? Okay, number 8. This one is from Bruce Lee. I got the same birthday as Bruce Lee.
Dope.
Bruce Lee says, empty your cup. Be formless, shapeless like water. Water can flow and it can crash. Be water, my friend. So the idea of empty your cup is, if I have this cup is filled to the top, the cup loses its usefulness. Because the usefulness in the cup is to hold and to be filled. So if I can empty my cup, let go of my ego, let go of the things I think I know, I am then able to fill my cup with whatever new things can be poured in. So if I come to you with my cup full and I just dump it all out, I'm not getting anything in return.
Exactly.
So my cup is like half full, half empty. This way I can pour some out, I can take some back in, and we could go ahead and just, share.
Yeah, man, you're eliminating limitations on yourself.
Yeah. No limit is the limit.
No limit, exactly. No ceiling, no limit.
Yeah. No cap. All right, cool. I think this one is really important too because it comes back to ego. A lot of people think they know everything. Like, you might have your parents being like, oh yes, this is the way. But the thing is, your parents may have raised you for a life that you're not ready for.
Yeah.
So it's like, your parents raised you to grow up in the 1980s. This is 2020. We're going to have to go ahead and our parents are going to fill our cup. We're going to go to school. We have to empty our cup, see what else is going to come into our lives. Because that's how we build ourselves for the present and the future.
100%. We always have to live our own life. See it for ourselves.
Beautiful, yeah.
Real shit.
Okay, number 9. Oh, number 9. This is a good one. So check this out. I wrote, you have to be a smart leader and a loyal follower. In terms of being a leader, you have to be somebody who is willing to take ultimate accountability. When I go, and I've read a book called The Art of War, it's kind of like the war of art. Yeah.
Fire.
So it's like, if you know yourself and your enemy, you can go into 100 battles without having to worry about anything. If you know yourself but not know your enemy, you're going to win one and lose one. You don't know yourself, you don't know your enemy, you are going to fail in every battle. So this comes back to the idea of number 2 with character. You know your character, you've won half the battle. Everything else is about the stimulus and how we respond. 90% is based on response, and that's based on us. To come back and be a smart leader, you want to be somebody who people can devote themselves to. You should be the person who is the hardest working, somebody that can be admired, somebody who can lead and take ultimate accountability. I go into this film set, no matter what happens, I'm not blaming you. It's all on me. Yep. Taking ultimate accountability is a beautiful thing, actually. Instead of a big responsibility, you want to be somebody who is willing to go first into the fire. Like Napoleon. This guy, short dude. This guy was like 5 foot maybe, kind of chunky. But based on the way he carried himself, his character, he could ride into battle. And with Napoleon, they said, even if we have like 500 soldiers, it feels like we have 50,000. So when people feel like that, we're a tip of a spear, and there's nothing we can't penetrate. You also want to be a loyal follower. And what I mean by that is, going back to emptying my cup, I could go and be like, yo, I'm a director, I got this media company, I'm good right today, like, la-da-da, like, everything's cool. But at the same time, I could just go ahead and say, you know what, maybe I don't know everything. I'm going to come here, I'm going to be humble, you give me directions, and I will listen. If I have something to say, I might say it, but if you think I'm wrong, I will follow your way. When pirates go for the booty, if they don't go ahead and work together, it's a mutiny. Then there's a lot of scrutiny, and then who knows where the ship is going to go. So we want to always focus on working as a team in the same direction. You want to be somebody who is capable of inspiring, but also somebody who you can be dependent on for a role.
Very true.
Yeah,
very true.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, have you ever had a situation where maybe you had somebody that was leading you that didn't inspire you?
100%.
Okay, tell me about it.
100%. I've definitely seen, it's not so much about me, but I'll just observe their characteristics. And I like how you said, to be a true leader, you got to be the one that's ready to take the hit. Mm-hmm. It's on me. Because I'm number one here. Mm-hmm. I'm taking the hit. Mm-hmm. And I see that in certain people, especially in the corporate world, where they might have a title. Okay. Where you can say you're a leader, but your actions don't reflect that. And the most common one is that, where it's like, something bad happens, who am I blaming? Mm-hmm. And to me, that's the opposite of what, even if it wasn't your fault, I gotta deal with the shit. I'm the one. So that's a big one that I've seen, bro, where a leader and title is not the same thing. A leader, you can be low on the totem pole and be a leader.
That's right.
And you can be a CEO and not be a leader. You know,
I like that.
It's about how you carry yourself. It's about I brought up that a CEO that I've met personally that I know I really respect him because he's always very even keeled and willing to take the hits. And another thing, not looking for glory, not self-promoting, not looking for like, if this project does well, I put it together. No, you guys get the credit. I deal with the shit. That's the ultimate leader.
It's beautiful. And it's not an easy role. Not everyone wants to do it, trust me.
No, and not everyone's built for it. And you can be a great soldier and not be a great general, and vice versa.
I think to be a great general, you have to know how to be a good soldier.
Exactly.
To come back to this point here, the other thing I wanted to bounce off you was you said this one piece about when we win, you guys get the credit. When we lose, I will take accountability. When we go ahead and blame the people that are working with us, what kind of message does that send as a leader?
Terrible. Isolates them, not understanding why they're here.
And I'm not saying we can't hold people accountable, but in the end, if they made a mistake and they mess up, it's partially your fault as the leader.
Yes.
Because there has to be this chain of command. And that's why a leader gets to be a leader, because they take that responsibility. And I think there's something beautiful about that.
It is beautiful. A question for you. Who's a leader that you look up to? What's an example? Even that if you've never met them, like you see them on TV or something. Are there any leaders you look up to?
Really great question. Dead or alive?
Either. So many good historical leaders.
Alexander the Great was a great, like, okay, yes,
Great,
these
that's
people,
a great
they killed a lot of people, but in terms of leadership, Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, George Washington, leaders from today who I think are really trying to make a change. Jeez, it's hard to say people today, but I really respect people who I listen to. I find people, like, I listen to a lot of other podcasts, like, and I don't think it's just about leadership. I think it's just people who are providing these platforms. I like listening to podcasts from, like, Lex Friedman, I've listened to recently, put on by a friend of mine, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan. I used to listen to some of those other podcasts about, like, relationships and stuff like that. Okay. I think people who can actually give facts, have credibility. Feelings are important, but I try to live a life that's pragmatic, that's based around realism and facts.
Yep.
And that's the kind of stuff that I like to listen to. What about you? Who do you think is a great leader? Because honestly, in my mind right now, I don't even know where we're at.
Yo, honestly, same. There's one that I've always thought was really interesting. Do you know Dame Dash?
Dame Dash, yeah.
Love Dame Dash.
Okay.
And he's someone where I think he's such a interesting guy, and I'll use the relentless term for him too, like relentlessly, like himself, relentlessly driven. I think he's a great leader, and at the same time, I don't agree with all the things he does.
Of course.
I think that's super interesting, where we have to understand no one is perfect. Even a great leader is flawed, and we got to understand that too. So he's someone where it's like, I consider myself a loyal Dame Dash follower, but I don't take everything he says as bond.
100%.
You know, but there's things that he does that I really like. And one of the things that I've always liked about him is he's very much rides for the team he has around him. You know, there's other things that he's done where sure you don't agree, but he there's old footage of back in the day, like with the Jay-Z team and all that. He was talking about, like, the guys he had under him, and he's like, if they never sell one record for me, I don't care, because I love them as people, you know, and I respect that. I believed it, you know, and I feel like that's kind of what I would want to be, where it's like, if you're really riding with me, I'm here for you, man. Like, I'll do what I can for you.
It takes a person of extraordinary strength and courage to be a person like that.
Yeah.
It's not easy to walk a righteous path. The path of the warrior is not one of glamour. Sometimes it takes more strength than wielding Thor's hammer. I'm gonna stop right here.
That's a bar.
Okay, bars.
That's a bar.
All right.
It's true, man. Because you know what?
Cool.
With the thing about the
Yeah.
leaders, I love leader conversation. Like, it's interesting to me. The thing with the leader is you got to understand that a lot of time you're the first over the hill, which means those arrows are coming for you, bro.
Yes. Vinny Ridge.
Yes. You know, and it's honestly not negotiable. Like, if a lot of times, if you're really what you say you are as a leader, you're getting beat up.
That's right.
And you got to do it with a smile.
Yeah.
You got to take those hits with a smile.
That's why we go back to embracing failure and having good
Embracing
character
failure.
and
Yeah,
having that
man.
why when you fail.
Exactly.
All this is good, man. I actually made this
Very
last
good,
night. I was
bro.
like, let me put this together.
I'm gonna take a photo of this before you go on. Keep this, man. I'm gonna write it down for myself.
I got a secret 5 after this. But
Fire.
last one, give back. Go ahead. So the idea
that.
of giving back is, now that I've made it somewhere, so like Renergy Media House, the whole idea is to give back to the people around me. I can't take all the jobs. I'm not gonna be selfish and just say no to all these people. I want to create connections. I want to build a community where people can actually thrive together. Let's say I pass away. These people can go ahead and carry on the business. They can carry on the legacy. They could be even better. And it's like when you look at a dandelion is no which is the one with the fluff on it? You know, the white fluff? Is that dandelion too?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Dandelion.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The ones
I know
like this.
exactly what you're talking about.
Anyway.
Yes.
So let's say I'm the dandelion. I could go ahead, some little kid could pick me off the street. I could go ahead and they blow the dandelion, they play with it in the wind, all the seeds scatter. Now all of those seeds are able to grow up to become more dandelions. Of course, people don't like dandelions because they think about them as weeds, but the idea is still the same, is that we want to be able to give back to the people who have given to us. Because I'm sure in some part of your life, like that CEO you mentioned, the mediator, these are people who have given to you. So each one teach one. Now you can go ahead and give it to somebody else.
Yes.
And for me to come here, besides self-promotion and like being able to chat with you, I would love to give back to these people.
Completely.
So whatever
agree.
I can do to give back. Like, I'm really big on charity, especially because I grew up in fairly poverty.
Yeah,
So
man.
like, I know what it's like to not have much. I know what it's like to not have good influences around you, to have bad attitudes, to have a corrosive mindset. If I can help build somebody around that and give back to people, I think it's probably the gift that really keeps on giving. It's a free dividend I'm going to give to you. You can keep it forever, and it's going to continue to yield abundant crops.
That's a beautiful thing,
that's some
especially
facts,
if you
yeah.
could positively influence like a young mind, because there's so much info out there now. There's so much shit on TikTok, Instagram. I could only imagine what it would be to be like 13 nowadays, where it's like, what, like, I'm seeing so much. Like, am I supposed to be someone that's trying to fuck all these girls? Is that a good thing to be? Is drugs good? Because I'm seeing all my favorite artists promoting this. Like, I bet it's so complicated. So if we could give some guidance, some positive influence on their lives, I think that's an amazing thing to do, man.
Yeah.
'Cause you can never force anyone to do anything, but if you can maybe try to make a difference, even just to try, I think it says a lot. Because you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to give back.
You don't.
It's something purely like selfless.
It's an intention that we have. And I think to come back to that piece, there's a saying, it's like, strong people create easy times, and easy times create soft or weak people. And then weak people create hard times create tough people.
Facts.
Because of this, I think what I'm most concerned about, and I'm not saying anything about our generation, but what I'm concerned about is, in the past 25 years, I've seen convenience get more and more convenient, exponentially. Before, get food, call, go ahead and get the pizza delivered. Now it's even easier than that, one thing on the phone. Also, women and men dating. You used to have to go out, court somebody. We had like those traditional values. Nowadays, it's so much easier. You can go ahead and hide. There's catfish. There's so many different things going on. I'd still choose to do things the hard way. I still don't use the GPS. That's why I was like 15
Good
minutes
for
late.
you,
I'm
bro.
my bad.
No, good for you.
I go ahead and I look at it. I say, okay, how do I get here? Left, right, up, down, 2 meters, 3 meters. I could get lost, but at least I know, like Frank Sinatra, I did it my way.
Yep.
I would like to encourage the people to do things the harder way, not because they have to be done this way, but to build the iron fortitude that will ultimately build your character.
Love that, man. That's an
valid.
excellent
That's a deep one.
example of the GPS too, because
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's GPS. I go get me faster, save more time. You don't remember how you got there though. You know, if you have to go back to the same place another time, you probably will need the GPS again because you weren't really paying attention. But if you're trying to do it like how you're doing it, I guarantee next time you come here, you'll know where to go.
Now it's already up here,
Right?
Yeah, around the
And
corner.
same, I like the dating example. Terrifying to go up to a girl at a bar.
Well,
For a lot
of people, yeah. But that's the only thing I do. I'm not a Tinder Hinge guy. Like,
No.
you will not find me. I feel like the best way, in my opinion, the best way to live is to live a life of seclusion and peace. The people who are wisest can live a life of seclusion and peace. They don't have to be outside. They don't have to have everyone on all the attention. It sometimes gets, like, we love people, but it gets a lot. Sometimes when I go, I have to be on.
Yep.
And I have to present, I have to perform. And you know, a lot of people, execution is really what's worshipped. Execution is going back to character. That's really what gets you done. You want to be Kawhi, you want to get Kawhi money rather than G League money.
Exactly.
You need to execute. And sometimes I would just rather be at home, look at the squirrels in the backyard, just chill, take care of my family, the people closest to me. I think there's some beauty in that. But if I have to go out, and going back to the idea of dating too, I don't want a woman who is going to come, when I come home, there's no peace. I'm outside fighting a war with these people all day. I want to come home for peace. I want food. I want a hug. I want peace. I want to listen to you. I come in the door, you need to give me like 20 minutes of quiet. Let me just decompress and just chill, figure myself out, and then I can give myself to you. In terms of giving back is not only just to the other artists, but also to just people around. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, bro. It's oh man, super.
That was a
well
rant.
said.
I think that was a little bit rant.
I completely agree, though. Like even going home, like bro, the people we go home to, we should be very. We should know what we want. We should know. Like it shouldn't be a transaction. Like Tinder, like Hinge, I'm not on it either. I'm not a fan of it either because I just feel like it's the opposite of love. Like as cheesy as that might sound, like bro, that's so transactional. Like here, list all the good things about you, and I'll decide if I like you. I'm like, that's fucking weird, man. Like life's not like that. Life can be messy, man. Like the person you eventually marry, you might have met them by accident spilling a drink on them or something. You know, that's not perfect.
No kidding. Okay, so
You never know.
you never know.
You know
But
what I'm saying?
To come back to this idea, let's say you go ahead and you know, Thanksgiving was just around the corner. You go ahead and you go out. You spend a day in the woods. You go hunt a turkey, shoot the turkey, pluck the turkey, take the turkey home, clean the turkey, baste, cook, eat. You're going to enjoy that turkey a lot more than me just going to Costco, getting the turkey butterball,
Absolutely,
and making it like
man.
that. And I think that is missing because instant gratification comes by so quickly. They had a marshmallow test with kids. They're like, okay, here's one marshmallow. I'm going to go out, and if you can wait, I'll actually give you a second marshmallow. The kids who ate the first marshmallow and then the second marshmallow, they had a test 10, 20 years down the line. They found out the people who could be patient and wait and got the two marshmallows, those people actually tended to have higher income, I guess better status in society, but also have just better sense of self-satisfaction and well-being. So I find that delaying instant gratification is important. I learned this about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, when he was heavyweight champion, he did not have sex for 5 years.
Yep.
And then eventually, at a certain point, things like he fell off, I think, when Customato died, and he kind of fell off that training and discipline. And that's what really caused him to kind of lose that iron will. And then that's when Buster Douglas knocked him out, took the championship, and all that other crazy stuff happened.
He's an awesome resource to listen to.
I like
He's
Mike
had
Tyson.
so much experience.
Leader. Muhammad Ali, I think, is a great leader.
Great leader.
I think Muhammad Ali is a great leader. I even like Khabib Nurmagomedov. I'm going to go
Love
listen to him speak.
Love him.
What I like about him is this guy went and retired. First of all, he was always thanking God first, his parents, his coaches, his family. Now that he's retired, he took his neighbor, his best friend, Islam Makhachev, and he's now the UFC lightweight champion. So now instead of him just relaxing and taking all this time off and instant gratification, he's in the gym. He's training with these people. He's making the people around him better. That goes back to like half of this stuff on the list. So I respect people like that.
I do too. I love that guy. And him jumping off the cage was so fucking
That was
iconic,
crazy.
bro.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that moment.
Yeah.
But yo, that's an excellent list, man.
Okay, I got 5 more, and these were ones I came up with like just now. These ones are Renjie exclusive. I'm gonna give you these.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1, 5 seconds of courage. I think I heard this somewhere. I don't think I came up with it, but 5 seconds of courage. It's like martial arts. You never know when someone's going to jump you. That's the whole idea of being jumped. You want to have situational awareness, but you always want to be yellow light, green light, red light. Yellow light is usually where you want to be because you never know. You want to be aware. You want to see what's going on at all times, like when you're driving. 5 seconds of courage means when I need it, I can count on it. So you train. For example, you might train martial arts. In case that happens, your martial arts training, bam, it's right there. In case there's a situation of something you need, for you to be able to draw on 5 seconds of courage, that's sometimes all you need. For example, you see a cute girl across from the bar, you want to go talk to her, you got that heart flutter, you're like, do I go, do I not? Arms are sweaty, palms, anyways. You go ahead and you can summon 5 seconds. That's sometimes all you need to get started. And when the ball is rolling, I find when I get engaged in that flow, I can't stop. So that first 5 seconds, if you can train yourself to have that 5 seconds available at any time, I find that is one of the greatest superpowers you can have.
Very good, man.
Yeah.
That's a great
You heard
way
of that
to
one?
look at it. No. I love the get the ball rolling. I use that, but the 5 seconds is it makes it so much more simple.
If I tell you, listen, you got to go ahead, talk to this girl, be charming for 2 hours, go home, text her and escalate and get another date, marry. Like if I tell you got to do all this stuff,
it's too much.
It's a mountain, but it's just one step at a time. So if you can generate 5 seconds, it might be enough.
Yeah. That's a great way.
And
to
I think
look at
5 seconds because sometimes you feel it and you need that extra time to charge it and then it go. It could be 1 second, it could be 5, 10, whatever works for you guys at home. That's
you talked about you do a lot of presentations for your work. I do too. That I've definitely learned about presentations. Like the first little bit is probably the most nerve wracking, and then you get going and you're flying. So that's a great tip.
Yeah. You just try it out and see if it works because I tell people in my circle this. I don't know how many of them give presentations or how many are on the same level as you, but you let me know if this works.
Yeah, that's excellent, man. Dope. The 5 seconds is a great way to look at it. 5 seconds of
courage. Next one, break rules. As creative people, it's hard to have a metric and accountabilities for creative people.
Yes.
What is a good movie? It's sometimes subjective. It could be great acting, lighting, composition, story, music, whatever the case is. Artists are there to explore the unknown, and that's why we don't know what the rules are. That's why we have to go ahead and break rules, because when we go outside into that ether, we can understand, bring that back to us, then we can make rules around it. I'm sure there was a time, I don't know honestly, but I'm sure there was a time where there was no 3-point line.
There was, yeah.
There was?
Yeah.
Okay, so no 3-point line, and then they said, okay, I'm going to shoot from back here. They're like, no, you're cheating, whatever, and they're like, you should get more points. 3-point line was created. Maybe now, these guys are pulling up from the logo. Maybe in the future, there could be a 4-point line. I'm not saying this for goodness or for badness. I'm just saying.
Possible.
I grew up with the 3-point line. Maybe my grandfather didn't have the 2-point line. Maybe our kids will have a 4-point line. And I'm saying we shouldn't be so rigid. We should allow it to happen. It's going to change the game.
Yeah.
But there could be that, and we go ahead and break these rules so we can change the game. That's the whole idea. We break the rules so we can change the game.
100%.
Damn, that's good.
100%.
13, work like hell. The idea of working like hell. Listen, you and I were still fairly young. You see a guy at 18 trying to become a filmmaker. You can say, this guy's got promise and talent. Same guy at 28 hasn't really gone anywhere. He's just building himself. He's developing. Now the water's boiling. We can go ahead and make tea. Same guy at 38. Oh boy. Same guy at 48. Of course, it's never too late to try. I don't endorse ageism or whatever, but the earlier you can get started, the more you can compound.
Absolutely.
Same with retirement savings. Like you start investing early, $100 small minimum steps, you're going to be able to be a millionaire by 65. If you start even 10 years later, you're going to need to put twice as much.
Yeah.
Start early, work like hell. If you're at home, you should be chilling at a minimum if you really want your dreams to come true. If you just want to dream a dream, let it be a dream. chill, do whatever you want. If you really want it, you're going to have to work like hell to make it happen. Yeah. And I'm sure you do too, because you balance, just like me, full-time and also creative stuff. So
absolutely.
Close-ended question, do you think you work like hell?
Yeah, I do think so,
How do you manage it? Because you asked me in the beginning, I'm going to ask you back.
The way I manage it is, I'll go back to step one and then the why. I am not doing this to get paid. I'm not doing this because I need to. Like, I don't have a boss in this game. In my other game, I absolutely do. I'm doing this because it's a dream, and I understand that to make it a reality, gotta work at it. So that's essentially why, bro. I want to see how fucking far I can take this. Yeah. That's number one, and I completely agree, bro. It has to be done by action. It has to be done by keep going. And you know what? This week, bro, I had an extremely busy work, like 9 to 5 week, and a very busy Vigilante week. Very busy. Okay. Tired. Yeah. But it's a great feeling, man. It's a great feeling to feel tired when you're working hard. Because I said this on a previous interview too. If you're sitting around doing nothing, you're gonna feel tired as well. But it's not a satisfying tired.
Wow.
It's a bad tired.
That's deep.
When you're
get
working,
that anxiety.
It's exactly. Yeah. You're tired. You're not feeling good. When you're working your ass off, you're gonna still feel tired. But it's a different type of tired. It's like you're in that, like, NBA finals, bro. Your body feels like shit. You've been beat up, but you're in the fucking NBA finals. Like, let's get it.
Let's get it. There's two types of stress. I actually studied this back in the medical days, but two types of stress. One type is called eustress. EU stress. That stress is the good stress. It's stress when you're doing stuff that you love, when you're closer to exactly where you want to be in your life. Then there's distress. Distress is the kind of stress that, causes the, oh my God, cortisol levels to go up. It decreases serotonin, increases cortisol. What happens here, this is the bad stress. This is the stress where you get cravings for food, you want to do other things, maybe intoxicants, whatever the case is. That's not good stress. So people should differentiate between good stress and bad stress.
Absolutely.
That's one for you. That's Vinny's
last
point.
Episode, I just kind of touched on that. Okay. Check out the last clip I posted.
Is it the working one? Yeah. The 14-minute one.
Yes.
I was watching that.
It kind of touches on these a bit.
Check on that 14-minute one, the one right before this. We appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, comment. Love you guys.
Paid promo.
No, I'm paid. I'm cool. I don't need it, bro. Just being here is a pleasure. Fire. Okay. 14. The power of the subconscious. This one is deep. I'm getting this. These last two get into ethereal stuff that's a little bit more esoteric. Esoteric is like all that crazy stuff that I like studying this because what is life? What is real? What is fake? What works? What doesn't? People talk about the subconscious mind as something that is going all the time. The subconscious mind is where we go ahead and collect all of our information, and because we have thought fatigue, we just go ahead and filter things with our conscious and subconscious mind. Right. So the power of the subconscious works like this. I'll even give a tip. Some of my best work has happened the latest at night or the earliest in the morning when I first wake up. It has to do with theta brainwaves. So people got to study this, but I'm not the best on this. I didn't go to neurology. So the idea here is I wake up for the first 15 minutes. Before I go and use the washroom, that 15 minutes, my mind is spinning at a certain amount of, you could say RPM a second. There's a certain amplitude, and your mind is at a faster frequency, a higher frequency in the first part of when you wake up. When I wake up, I have ideas. I got to write them all down before I pee. So I might get a bladder infection, but I will for sure get some bladder direction. That was horrible. Oh my God. But the idea is the power of the subconscious is a realer thing. And for us to be able to channel that as artists or as people is going to be really important. Sometimes you might have a situation you feel like confused, conflicted about. You think about it before you go to bed. You sleep on it. It might come to you in a dream. It might come to you when you wake up. You might look at it differently when you do wake up and you don't know about it. So being able to access your brain and the different things around it is probably where the power of the subconscious comes from. And I do invite people to study about this because our brain is so powerful,
100%, bro. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I'm excited to hear 15 now. Okay,
last one. The soul of the universe. So this goes back to the book, The Alchemist, and it goes back to the idea of if all things are one and connected and we all come from an origin that is the soul of the universe, then everything is truly everything. If we can connect with the soul of the universe, it does not matter what language we speak, who we are, what we believe in, but it's a way for us to connect with the world, the universe, and everything in it. When we get lost in the sauce of society and modern day living, sometimes we might not feel the soul of the universe. But the way to get connected with the soul of the universe is through your own heart and soul. Yeah. So all this esoteric stuff, I don't know if people believe in this, but I subscribe to certain groups or committees or channels or people that really focus on this. And I just believe that listening to these kind of things, like this is some esoteric information that people might not have gotten 200 years ago as farmers. But now that everything is accessible worldwide, people have left things behind, like The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale or Think and Grow Rich. All these kind of self-help books, people might think of them as like just fluff, but there's really something to them if you apply them. What is your thought on self-help books?
I don't think I've ever read a self-help book, but I definitely watch interviews and stuff like that. That's kind of about self-help.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm someone that, bro, I'll try. I'll listen, bro. I'll give anyone a shot. If it makes sense to me, excellent.
Okay, you're getting a book for Christmas.
I'm down.
And the play.
Oh, fire.
Yeah, bless.
I'm down, man. I think that who couldn't use a little help?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Especially if like I see it's coming from an honest place. Always you got to stay open-minded.
Absolutely.
Water. Be like water.
Be like water. Oh, man, appreciate you, bro.
100%, bro.
Yo, the one thing I want to say about the last point, the soul in the universe, is recently people have been talking about the law of attraction and The Secret. I think that whatever religion or belief you have, if you really believe that we are all one family under the moon and sun, then it's a really great place to go, because we don't want any more division. It's 2022. The world is divisive enough about gender, age, race, politics. We need to come together.
Yeah.
That's what we need more than anything. Because, like, I remember I had an interesting conversation about racism and classism. People were like, oh, it's racism, that's the issue. But for me growing up, I think classism is the issue of being able to, grow up in a poor neighborhood and then grow up in a more affluent neighborhood. To see both, I realized all the people are the same. It might be different circumstances, but we are all so similar. If we can focus on our similarities rather than our differences, we can actually get along in harmony. And if we could do that, we could probably stop like half of the crazy shit happening around the world,
100% agree, man.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's outside shit that makes things way more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah.
But I completely agree with you. Bro, we all pretty much look the same.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, most people look somewhat alike.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
And you could be worth $1 billion and you could have not a dime to your name, and that makes a lot of a difference.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah, and you know what? I think Biggie said, why do I have to be scared of somebody who breathes the same air as me?
Yeah.
So the idea is like, doesn't matter who you are. You got to use the washroom, whether it's, in a latrine, into the sewer, or on a gold toilet, like Action
bro.
Bronson.
Mac Miller. Oh, shout out Action Bronson.
Oh, shout out Mac Miller. Bro.
Mac Miller had this awesome, I think it was even a tweet. I don't even think he said it, where he's like, yo, you should never get like intimidated by anyone. And he was talking about beautiful women. He's like, yo, even the most beautiful woman you ever met has had to take the nastiest shit at one point. And he's like, that shows you that like we're all the same. We're all shit. We all have had to do some nasty shit at some time. Yeah. And I found that so funny, but it's so true.
It humbles people, but it also breaks down the intimidation factor. You know what I mean?
It's like, imagine if, like, the most beautiful woman in the world is seen at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're all just human.
Yeah, somebody is scrubbing that shit off the toilet bowl.
Man.
It's happening, and I think that's such a humbling thing.
Yes, it very much is, bro. I love that list, man.
Cool. This is the 15, bro. I told you. How did you feel about it? You think I came correct?
I loved it. It's facts. It's stuff that I definitely I agree with everything you said, bro. It would have been better content if I'm like, you're fucking wrong about all this, but no, I can't say that because I completely agree.
Well, I think you were also able to elevate this by adding things like something to it. Like,
Appreciate it.
I think you were talking about the idea of, oh man, you just said it. It was on number 13, work like hell, but it was like, you said something about, oh god, my memory. Short-term memory.
The like if you're not doing anything, you're gonna be tired.
You still feel bad,
but it's worse. You know,
that's exactly it. That goes back to this.
You know what, bro? Like this life shit, you're in it either way.
Yeah.
Why not go a little higher? Like, why not try harder? Try to be a better person.
What's your take on? Because okay, you know, in the West, we're really big on hustle. Yeah. And in China, they have this thing called 996, I think, where you work from 9 to 9, 6 days a week. That's a lot of hours. 12 times 6 is 72. So that's like normal. But my question is, the other side of it, there's this new thing called, what is it, quiet quitting?
Yeah.
You heard of this?
Yeah, I have.
So what's your opinion on the two of these?
I don't really like either because both of them, to me, feel like you're putting too much emphasis into your job. Like, working from 9 till 9 at a job, and I would never want to do that. Like, even this, bro, like, I don't want to. I'm going to digress real quick.
Cool.
I'm going to get back to it. Akon told a sick story about recording with Eminem.
Okay.
Rappers are notorious for recording, like, ridiculous hours. Going to the studio, like, 3 a.m. and staying till, like, the next 3 p.m. Like, ridiculous. And he was going to record with Eminem, kind of expecting that. Eminem got there at 9 o'clock, and he left at 5. And Akon's like, where are you going? He's like, I'm done. Put in 6-7 hours today, and I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that hit me because it's like, yo, it doesn't need to be defined the amount of hours you put in just to say you put in all these hours. Where you really, if you're working 9 to 9, are you productive the whole time? No fucking way.
Yeah.
And then with the quiet quitting, to me, it's like, my understanding of quiet quitting is just not putting much effort in, but you're still working. Is that essentially what it is?
I mean, I saw like 1-2 things about it, but I think the idea of quiet quitting is like, I'm not getting paid, so I'm not going to do extra. I'm just going to do what is required of me.
Yes, and cool, I get that. Like, stick it to the man, sure. But that's contagious because if you want to do your own thing, you're going to be needing to do a lot more. Like, if you have a dream, you can't quiet quit during that. So I feel like it could build bad habits, man. Like, if you're in a bad job and you quit, 100% good for you, bro. Like, it's always another job out there, but I feel like if you quit for a certain reason, like, it could build bad habits, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're someone that wants to do their own thing or have a dream, how are you not going to quiet quit in that? Because now you've set a precedent for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's also coming back to character and being honest.
Exactly.
If you don't like your job,
quit.
If
like,
you
for
can,
real.
just leave.
Yes.
If you love your job, give it what you got, you know?
Exactly.
And to come back to it, I think because of this spectrum, you got people on extreme on both sides.
Yeah.
The people who are quietly quitting, the people who are hustling are going to go ahead and just probably get these promotions. You might feel the ways, you might not, but the people who are hustling daytime, nighttime, they're going to continue to go up.
Yes.
The people who are quiet quitting, they might have better work-life balance. And then those people who are hustling might also envy that. So, I mean, there's got to be a balance somewhere in the middle. And I find right now in life, there's a lot of extremes. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like, people are extreme this way, people are extreme this way.
Too many labels.
Yeah, and it's hard because they're divisive. They bring us all apart. We're all arguing over stupid shit while, you know, the world is burning.
100%. I mean, to say if you vote Republican, you're automatically like a certain type of person. And to me, I just think that's so crazy, bro, because nowhere in the world is everything black or white. It's not how that works. You know, there's no heroes and villains, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't work like that. In movies, sure. But I feel like, and I not to go too much of a tangent, I feel a lot of that's media driven. It's a good story. This person is a bad person. Don't like him. This is the person you should like. When the fuck is it like that, bro? Yeah. Most people, I'll use my 9 to 5 again. Most people I meet, pretty decent, man. Very rarely are you going to meet someone that's an absolute piece of shit. If we watch the news, it's everywhere. Everyone's a piece of shit. I don't agree. I never agreed with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how I got on that
Well,
point, but
I mean, yeah.
I think it's just like that extreme where there's no reason for it to be extreme, because I don't think life's that extreme, bro. I think it's quite simple. I used to say this, I still say this to a lot of people, especially during COVID though. If we're watching TV, like all this pandemonium, all this bad shit, but if you literally go outside, it's sunny.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's a nice day.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let that type of bullshit really impact your life, man. It's poison, you know.
Yeah.
Extreme views to me are kind of are poison, like in any angle.
Yeah, there's got to be some tolerance on both sides.
Yes, man.
And I think the it's also like when you push these headlines, clickbait and stuff like that. When you push these headlines, they're just to go extreme. So you go and watch them. And then when you watch them, you're like, oh, this is just a pretty average video.
Exactly.
So I think we're making a lot of noise about a smaller thing.
Agreed.
The dragon in the mountains is really a Komodo dragon. They don't even fly, breathe fire, or anything like that.
Man.
You know, like the you know. So we're not talking about these villains and heroes, but the only real villain is the versatile vigilante right here. Please click like, subscribe, comment. Appreciate you.
My God.
Yeah, that's it.
I appreciate you, bro. You wanna spit a quick freestyle?
I do. Are we still rolling? You want to take a quick break? I could use a stretch real quick.
We can
keep going. We can do it right now.
You wanna end it off with a bang?
Yeah, right now?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Oh Lord, I'm super nervous. But
go.
Here's the 5 seconds of courage. I did write something, but I'm not gonna go and use it because I feel like if I can just go on this, I'll go, and when I get lost, just give me a word and we'll try to go like that.
Deal.
Okay?
Deal.
Yo, I could say I'm nervous, scared to perform the service, but today I came to do this service, so today I can do no disservice. Summon 5 seconds of courage, ask if it's really worth it. Talk to him like, please state your purpose. You don't have to be perfect. Yo, I thought I was strong when I was working out. Things ain't working out, funny how I'm stronger now. Life will look you in the eyes and test the strength of your soul. Like drive, your heart's tested on the length it can go. I was out of control, cause what does an artisan make? The amount of time we stare through the darkest of drapes, we came far from the apes and even Adam and Eve, but the fruit never falls too far from the tree. I used to train these thoughts and now I train my thoughts, therefore I'm coming from different planes and trains of thought. I collect my reward when the pain has stopped and it's a natural higher than the strain I copped. Listen. Every day is beautiful, and the fun is mutual. If you invest, maybe the funds are mutual. 5 seconds of courage, and we break rules. Tell the kids to go back to school. I met this cutie with a little booty. She was working, gave me brain. I did not pay like Cupid. That's a Doug Ford reference. I don't know if I can afford it, because the rates are going higher. We should pay more interest than mortgage. Give back like orphanage. Give the poor kid some hope. Either way, find better ways to cope than dope. It's a slippery slope, but yo, I'm a hand up. Either way, we gotta stand down or man up. Versatile vigilante. I'm smiling as I'm spitting this verse and upping the ante. People think shit is sweet like candy, but it can be. I could be driving a Nissan, Tesla, or Camry. Still ball like Marcus can be. Either way, I stand tall like a C-stand. Therefore, I'm like video on demand and girls want my C-man because I'm trying to be man. Nah, hey, man. Listen. The power of the subconscious. Yo, I'm on this. I'm speaking from my heart like my aorta. On the ground, I found a quarter. Either way, I'm sort of out of disorder, but I'm more in order than a cafeteria. I don't even know. Maybe I'm just hungry. I need to order a la mode. Maybe a la carte. Where my heart is lies. It's the art of war, but the war is art. Either way, you need more than just vision, big brain, and heart. You gotta have principles. You gotta have characters. Something that flows deeper than your blood-brain barrier. Flow like serotonin. I don't know where I'm going. Either way, you know the motion is deeper than the ocean. If you see the waves ebb and flow, this is the same way we must let go. I think that's it, unless you have a word to say. Either way, I got some more things to display. Give me like 2. I'll try.
Okay, we'll end it up with water. I feel like water's been a theme.
Okay.
Water as the conclusion.
Water. Water like it's H2O. Who knows where it flows and where it goes? You might see it in ice flows. Either way, it's an icicle. When we melt and condense, we just come back to flow. Water's got molecules. Apparently, if you speak to water, it will actually react. Same way I'll speak to my son and daughter. Because when I pass away, I won't have a long will. I hope my kids will inherit a strong will. Versatile Vigilante, Vinny.
That was fucking hard, bro. Renjie Lee, first freestyle in Vigilante history.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, bro. This is an amazing conversation. We just hit the 2-hour mark.
No way.
That is an absolute banger.
Banger.
Really appreciate it,
Yeah.
bro. Shout out your social medias and
Listen,
whatever real quick.
Renjie Lee with 3 eyes, because I see with my third eye like I only have one. Shout out to Renergy Media House, Knights of Dali. Shout out to Scripts and Sandwiches. The whole team. If you know me, come talk to me. If you don't know me, come talk to me. Even if I don't agree with you, at least I'll give you the time of day. Be somebody. Even if you think the world is ending, recycle. Be good to your parents. Don't forget to smile, work hard, buy some of the stickers and merch, and make sure when it's your time, because everyone has their time, you're ready. And I think we're good.
Big facts.
And appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate you, bro. Shout out Renjie Lee. Shout out Marcus Camby. Fire
Shout out Marcus
reference.
Camby. Jeez.
Let's get it, man.
First time we're meeting too, yo. This is blessed.
First time,
Meeting of the
not
minds.
the last. That's a fact.
No, much love.
My guy.
Woo!
Vigilante season.